2 minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast. Seconds till broadcast. Five, four, three, two, one. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
Let me tell you, the response to the show has been absolutely amazing. People can't believe that a young conservative millennial continues to fight for constitutional principles, traditional values, and talks about issues that some are even afraid to talk about. But we do it because we understand the importance of this. And now we're seeing it absolutely blow up all across the nation.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
I am so excited about today. It's a Monday, which means it's a great brand new week. We are going into a holiday week, which means it's the most patriotic week in America. Or you can do that every single week. Welcome into the Voice of Reason, broadcasting live right here out of the heartland of America on the flagship station of the Big Talker KQAM in Wichita, Kansas, all over the country as we continue to grow with stations each and every day. Thank you for joining us. Also streaming online, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, online at HoosierReason.com as we have the live stream going on there. Also the Podbean app, which we're doing a live stream on there as well. So thank you wherever you may be. Please share it out. Say hi. Say good morning, good afternoon. Call me a jerk. I don't really care. It doesn't really matter for me because we see it and hear it each and every day. We have so much to get to today between some Supreme Court decisions. Again, then we have more states, mandatory masks going into effect starting this week. I know. So we'll do the whole COVID-19 update as well, some of the numbers that we saw throughout the weekend as well. Then we have some updates when it comes to President Trump and his policy. There's actually a Republican analyst, quote unquote, that went on to Fox News, or at least submitted a report to Fox News saying that Donald Trump may drop out of the race. Not sure about that one. So we'll talk about that here in a little bit as well. But we have limited time with her, and I'm really excited to have her on the program as our guest today. She is the senior policy analyst at the Independent Women's Forum. She's also a contributor to the Federalist. She's been in the education system for years and talking about some of the latest protests. Could this have been avoided? This whole protest, rioting, burn the country down, anarchy type of mentality. And is there a way that we can work towards and work past that down the road? I'm really excited to have on the program with us Inez Stepman with us here. Inez, how are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm really excited to have you on. I appreciate it very much. These protests that we see, this CHOP or Chaz or Autonomous Zone or whatever the heck you want to call it up in Seattle now, the protests that go on all over the nation saying that this nation, I was actually on a debate on social media earlier today where they said, give me one time, one decade that America's existed and tell me when it was great and how no one was oppressed at that time in this decade. It's never happened. Therefore, this country has never been great because someone has always been oppressed, someone's always been down, someone's always been poor, and we can never say that America was great. I got into this discussion on Facebook today because it drove me nuts, and of course I like to, feed the fire a little bit. But my question is this a lack of education that we have, or is this a political movement from brainwashing? Where did this mentality come from in this nation?
Well, it comes directly from our education system, from kindergarten all the way up through graduate school. For at least several decades, has been downplaying America's greatness and focusing to the exclusion of context on America's sins. Now, of course, there are black parts of our history. Of course, there are black marks on our history, as there are with every civilization in human history. But it depends. And I'm of course not advocating that we shouldn't teach, for example, about slavery, but even about something like slavery, today's graduates know very little. They just know that America is bad. So, for example, only 12% of college graduates, right, not fifth graders, college graduates know that the 13th Amendment abolished slavery. Okay, so if the point is to teach more about slavery in America, our schools are failing at that. What they are teaching is this lie, this narrative that Frederick Douglass actually called a slander on the framers' memories, that slavery or racism is at the heart of the American system. And that's when you hear phrases like systemic racism, largely that's what they mean. It's what the 1619 Project is about, right? America wasn't founded on July 4th. It's coming up, right? It wasn't founded in 1776. It was founded in 1619 when the first enslaved African came to our shores. It moves slavery from a great evil and a great mistake of the United States to the center of the American experiment, of our documents, of our system. And then the only logical conclusion, if one accepts that lie, is that the United States system must be destroyed, that in order to be anti-racist, we must pull down America. And that's exactly what you're seeing in the streets today.
It's really sad and it's very concerning. Where did this come about and how did this come about? How did we let this mentality, this ideology infiltrate our education system? Was it the entrance of Common Core style education at the federal level? Was it federalizing the education system? Was it just progressives that despised America coming up through the times, just slowly integrating into the education system? Where did this all come about?
Well, it certainly predates Common Core. Common Core is a negative for a lot of reasons. And by the way, the 1619 Project came with Common Core compliant teaching materials that are now being used to teach this lie in thousands of American schools. So it's not at all that I'm in favor of Common Core, but this problem predates Common Core by quite a bit. I haven't been able to pin down, I can't give you a year, but at least for the last several decades, we've seen this increasing anti-Americanism. And if we want to pinpoint or point the finger at somebody, I actually lay this in some way at the feet of the conservative movement, because we have ignored the institutions of culture for way too long. We have focused to the exclusion of, for example, education reforms like school choice. We focused on tax cuts and on sort of short-term political victories. And believe me, I love tax cuts. I love, keeping more of my own money. I think it's good for the economy. All of those arguments I buy and agree with. But when we were looking at the potential cultural civil war that we're now in, we should have been able to look at this and recognize that it's actually more important to be able to teach future American citizens, how to become a part of the fabric of America, how to create a more perfect union, to understand the system of government in which they live, to understand the unique freedoms that America offers, and the greatness of the American system before they move to tear it down. I mean, these are civilization-level questions, and they cannot be deprioritized for decade after decade, as has been done by Republicans and conservatives, and expect there to be no outcome from that. We might have won in sort of the political square, but we let the radical left run rampant through the K-12 education system, completely take over the university system, and we comfort ourselves with the notion that, that crazy stuff on campus, it'll stay on campus. It didn't stay on campus. It graduated into our Fortune 500 companies. It graduated into Hollywood and media and newsrooms, and we're seeing the result of that today.
I'm so glad you said that, because I've been trying to say that for a long time, is that when we talk about the American flag and we see the kneeling of the American flag and we don't talk about history and the removal of books and statues and everything, which I want to get into in a second, is that we become too analytical, I think, as conservatives. And as you mentioned, talking about the data and the taxes and the percentages, we've lost the emotion behind it. One thing that progressives do very, very well is bring out the emotion in individuals, and the emotion riles them up to create a movement. And it's very difficult for us to create a movement when there's no emotion behind it, other than saying our taxes are too damn high. But outside of that, then we don't have much emotion behind it, because to us it's all numbers, because we're analytical. And I love being analytical, but you can't really create an emotional drive or a movement behind it. And I think that we have very much failed in that department.
Look, the left is making an argument about justice. Right? They're saying that America is unjust. It has always been unjust. It's never been great, and it's unjust today. And the only way to cure that is to tear down the system. Right? Conservatives also then have to make an argument about justice. We have to say that the American experiment, the American project, is just, that it is the greatest rebuke to inequality and racism that has ever been offered by any civilization. It's the promissory note. The Declaration of Independence that we're going to celebrate in a few days here was referred to as the promissory note. In Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech, he said Jefferson essentially, gave us this promissory note, and he called upon America to fulfill that promissory note and to live up to the ideals of its founding. That is the kind of civil rights movement that can and should succeed in the United States. That is not what this is. This is saying that there was never a promissory note, that the founding was rotten from the beginning. The Declaration of Independence is nothing but hypocrisy and power preserving for rich old white men. And we have to answer that claim directly. We have to be courageous enough to say America is not systemically racist. Yes, are there instances of racism in America? Yes, look at the whole world. The history of the world is a history of tribalism and racism and discrimination and not liking the other, okay? But the American system is explicitly a rebuke to that when it says that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights.
Yeah. No, amen to that. We're talking
away from us.
Amen to that. We're talking with Inez Stetman from the Independent Women's Forum. IWF.org is the website. Make sure to check her out. Let's talk about the removal of the statues right now. The kneeling, Colin Kaepernick possibly getting back into the NFL, creating that movement again all over. But right now, the burning of the removal of the books. I mean, I remember reading To Kill a Mockingbird when I was in school. Now you're not allowed to do that because it talks about segregation and it talks about racism. I always was taught that you learn about it so you don't repeat it, because if you don't learn about it, then you're doomed to repeat it. But now we want to remove any statue that's offensive or deemed offensive, even though it may not be. We want to remove books because they may be offensive. And they talk about some very tough things in society. Are we doomed to repeat it again when we have radicals on the other side that want to tear down statues and want to say that all white people are evil because we're privileged? Just maybe in a reverse form, are we going to continue to divide this nation if we don't stop and begin to learn history all over again?
The narrative that's being pushed by the 1619 Project, the New York Times, by the education system, is dangerous for exactly this reason, right? This is an incredibly diverse country. Unlike any other, for example, European country that essentially was founded around a tribe. There were a bunch of smaller tribes. They kind of got together into a larger, bigger tribe. Then they drew the boundaries around it. And yes, there are immigrants who came from different countries in and out. But the boundaries of modern Europe are more or less, right, relics of a tribal past. The United States is not like that. We have always been multi-ethnic from day one. There is no such thing as an ethnicity that is American, right? We've always had people of different ethnicities as Americans from day one. We've always had different religions in America from day one. So it's exactly, I think, so dangerous to preach what is essentially disunion in America instead of e pluribus unum. It is dangerous here. It's more dangerous here than in perhaps anywhere else, because our common history is one of the things that can actually bind us as a diverse people, is feeling the pride in our common history and achievements as Americans. And look, my family came to America just before I was born, so my parents are immigrants. I'm a first-generation American, but George Washington is my founding father, and July 4th will be the birthday of my country. I claim that heritage as my own. I claim American history as my own. And that's an incredibly uniting force, and we need a uniting force in America because we are so different and we are sort of so raucous and we're sort of famous in the world for being rowdy and raucous and divided and sort of squabbling all the time with each other. But we need that common thread of appreciation for the American founding, for the American creed, and for American history. I really fear, the results of teaching for so many years. We've taught two entire generations that,
Sure.
That's not the case, that those things are not worthy of being honored and celebrated. I think we're seeing the results in the streets today.
No, absolutely. Inez, do you have one more segment with us, or do you have to go?
I can do another segment.
Perfect. Stick around one more segment. We'd love to chat with you. We got so much to talk about. She is a plethora of information. We appreciate that so much. Lots more coming up here on a Monday of The Voice of Reason. Don't go anywhere. Make sure to visit us here at HoosierReason.com. So much here on The Voice of Reason. Stay tuned.
Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier with The Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HoosierReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HoosierReason.com. Again, HoosierReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hoosier. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HoosierReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HoosierReason.com. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HoosierReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hoosier with The Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hoosier Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosier-holic by going to HoosierReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hoosier Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HoosierReason.com. For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hoosier Media Network, visit us on the website at HoosierReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hoosier Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Yes, you are. Welcome into it. It's a Monday. Great to have you along for the ride today, no matter where you may be, radio, TV, social media, online, podcasting, doesn't matter. Thanks for hanging out with us today, and I appreciate our guest, Inez Stetman, coming on the program. IFW.org is the website with the Independent Women's Forum, and especially appreciate the time because my fault. I scheduled it wrong with time zones and stuff, so I appreciate the additional time with you. Let's talk about how we move forward from here. And you're absolutely right. The fabric of American identity, where we can disagree on politics, but at the end of the day, we unite as one under the American flag, under the American dream. We love America. We all come together as Americans. No hyphenated, no identity politics, none of that crap. How do we get back to that? Because I remember, I'm a millennial, I'm 31, but I remember during 9/11, the biggest problem we had then was not the fact that people said, at that time at least, we deserved it and to heck with America because we're glad that we saw people destroyed. The problem we had then was that we were worried about littering because too many American flag stickers were flying off of poles and light poles and traffic signs all over the place because everybody said, "Hoorah, we love America, and we're going to go get the bad guy." What a drastic change that we've seen over the last 19 years. How do we get back to the fabric of American identity of loving this country so we can at least unite and not have people trying to destroy cities because of just everybody's evil, so therefore we need to burn it down and start over?
Well, I think it starts with education reform. And it starts with the conservative movement, a Republican Party that's willing to place education reform front and center in terms of its political priorities. So on the K-12 level, it means giving families a choice, an option, an exit to the public school system. And that means universal school choice. Every family gets control of the education dollars, which are quite numerous, by the way. We spend, at this point, the average American per pupil expenditure per year is $17,000. So we should put families in charge of those dollars. There's no reason why we should automatically be sending all of our $700 billion investment in American future to schools that then turn around and teach that America's evil. So I think it starts there. And I think it's important to note that school choice, I think, has been framed in the past more as an answer, as a lifeline for students who are trapped in some of the worst failing schools that might be academically completely useless and even are unsafe for students to attend. And it absolutely has been that lifeline in a lot of cities. But school choice is more than that. It's important to give everybody school choice so that parents have leverage. Right? Because especially during this pandemic, a lot of parents are seeing for the first time some of the things that their kids are learning, for example, about critical race theory or about the American founding, about how George Washington is unworthy of any kind of praise because he did once own slaves. So I think a lot of parents might be seeing some of this for the first time in their own living rooms, and I think it's important to back up that realization with real power and leverage that choice provides. Even if one doesn't want to exit the public school system, it's a different sort of meeting. If it's you and 10 parents, 10 other parents who feel the same way as you do, who walk into the principal's office, it's a different sort of meeting with that principal when you represent $170,000 that will then be taken out of the budget that pays the principal's salary, right? So it's a different negotiation if you have that kind of financial power behind you and that kind of leverage. So I think that's the first thing that we should be looking at. And then also we should be in the K-12 level, parents should absolutely exercise, even if they don't have school choice, they should be going to PTA meetings. They should be asking questions about adopting the 1619 curriculum, which a lot of superintendents are now doing in response to these current riots. Their response to it is to adopt this curriculum that is then feeding the sentiment that is resulting resulting in riots. So it's going to get worse before it gets better unless parents stop the adoption of this curriculum.
Sure.
And then on the university level is what actually incubates a lot of these ideas.
I tell you what, Inez, we're out of time here. I know you got to run. We got to get you back on the show because this is such important stuff. So thank you so much for the time. We'll talk to you again here real soon, I promise.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Hey, absolutely. Inez Stepman right there, Independent Women's Forum. We got lots to cover and go over all that and more. Stay here.
With Andy Hoosier.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hoosier Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hoosier Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HoosierReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. The Hoosier Media Network is way more than just the voice of reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast, Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book, Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hoosier Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with The Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosierholic by going to HoosierReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hoosier Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HoosierReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hoosier with The Voice of Reason, and I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hoosier Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HoosierReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, it's Andy Hoosier with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hoosier Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Welcome back into it. This is the Voice of Reason. It's a Monday. Great to have you along for the ride. Radio, TV, social media, online streaming, HoosierReason.com, podcasting, doesn't matter. Welcome in. Thanks for hanging out with us. What a great interview with Inez Stepman. I appreciate that so much. What a knowledgeable individual, a plethora of knowledge in there. And I think this is probably the best discussion we could have had during a 4th of July week, right? Getting ready, feeling patriotic, getting into that mode a little bit, because so far we haven't felt it. Every once in a while, if anybody's ever gone to like the Conservative Political Action Conference, sometimes you need to go to a political conference or go to a political rally like a Donald Trump rally or something, even on the Democrat side, a Democrat rally, whatever, just to refuel the tank, just to build back up and feel that passion, that energy on how important your civic duty is to go and vote, to get politically active, to do those kinds of things, how important that actually is. And that's what that was, at least to me, to energize and say, look, there's a way to fix this. Look, this is what's going on. Message on Facebook, trying to understand the movement of the left is a great topic. It is. As you know, this is the Voice of Reason. We try to understand. I may not always agree with what side. I obviously don't agree with a side. And it's not really party affiliated. It's more ideologically affiliated, which is why we don't like to. I'm a Republican, but I don't like to talk about really Republicanism because I'm a conservative. I'm a constitutionalist. Those two mesh together. And I'm not a fan of socialism or progressivism. It's the ideology, the way you live your life, the way you see the world. And I try, even though I may not understand, may not agree with it, I want to understand it. I want to see the connecting of the dot from A to B. And sometimes you can't. Sometimes you're just like, what in the world are you talking about? But other times it can be like, you know what? I don't agree with it. It doesn't make sense to me, but at least I understand the thought process now. And that's what that was. Where did we lose the fabric of American identity? Where did we lose it? It was the school system. When they're teaching everybody's evil, this white supremacy, this white privilege, this whole thing that's run the nation, and we've kept all these other individuals down. It's just not true. The American dream's for everyone. I was on social media earlier today, and I mentioned this briefly a little bit in the last segment, tried to say that I was on social media, and I got into this little bit of back and forth with an individual, which I've done really well not doing lately because I don't have time, and I don't really care, because you're not going to change anybody's minds on social media, and this is the proof evidence of that. So this individual made a comment about white privilege and how we've always oppressed individuals of color or women or the LGBTQ community. We've always oppressed them. That's always been there. And we've never had it equal. So this country has never been great. And of course, I had to make the comment of that's a stupid comment because that's just not true. And we went round and round a little bit. And I said, please provide evidence. And he's like, I'm not going to because I don't want to. But think of it this way. And his comment was, and it was very interesting because it kind of put me into the perspective a little bit to try and understand this thought process. When he said, pick one decade in American history where no one was oppressed or no one was poor or no one was downtrodden. One decade in history, in American history. And I realized what they've tried to do. They've tried to turn American history into like a one-time audit. You ever been audited by the bank? Ever been audited by the IRS? Have you ever worked at a bank and got audited? You ever worked at a place where you have to follow government guidelines and you get audited? They come in a construction zone, you get audited. They have the EPA people coming in to inspect it at the time. It's an audit, which means what an audit is they check at that time, at that period in time, not any time beforehand, not any time afterwards, but that single moment in time, are you in compliance with what's supposed to be happening? That's what an audit is. And I've realized that that's what the progressives have been trying to do for the longest time when it comes to decide whether America's great or whether America's not great, because the whole slogan by Donald Trump, "Make America Great Again," meaning that we've seen a change in times and we don't necessarily like the way it's going, and we want something that was great at one point that people really enjoyed. Whatever time that may be, and people have differing opinions on when that actually is. But according to a progressive, at least according to the conversation I had with this individual, was that they look at it as an audit, a singular moment in time. Boom, we're going to pick a random time, close our eyes, put the finger on the dot on the timeline and say, was it great at that time for everybody? And if you look at it in that time, in that mindset, of course it's not going to be. Because you're going to see people that were poor, people that were sick, people that were being oppressed or being downtrodden, people that were being abused at that time. So if you look at it in a singular point, of course, it's never going to look the way you want it to look because it's never been this happy, perfect utopia. Here's a little bit of news for you. Here's some breaking news for anybody that thinks in that mindset. No country on the face of the earth in the history of mankind, if you look at it at a one-point direction like an audit, has never been perfect. There's never been a perfect society. There's always been someone oppressed. There's always been someone down. There's always been troubles. There's always been struggles. There's always been poor people. There's always been homeless. There's always been someone that's been downtrodden. But that doesn't make it that the country is just not good, that it was a bad nation, that it's never been great. That's not true. You have to look at it at a long-form timeline. We had problems in America. Sure we have. We had slavery. That's a horrible thing. We had where women and people of color couldn't vote. That's a horrible thing. We had genocide with Native Americans, with the Trail of Tears and the terrible things we did. We had, of course we've done terrible things. You cannot look at that one point in time and be like, oh, proof right there. America was never great. But where have we come from? What have we done since then? We've abolished slavery, one of the first nations in the world to do so. Under Abraham Lincoln. So, in essence, they want to remove an Abraham Lincoln statue, which we'll get to in a second. Abraham Lincoln, the Republican Party. Andy, they switched parties. Yeah, okay. You sure? Try and tell millions of voters to switch parties, be like, you're now all of a sudden a Republican. You're a Democrat before, you're a racist Democrat, now you're going to be a racist Republican. Just switch parties. Try and tell that to people now and see how well they actually changed their votes. You have the hardline people that have voted one way their entire life, and they're never going to change that because that's the way it is. That doesn't work that way. Republicans were the party that actually stopped slavery. Republicans were the party that stopped segregation. The Republican Party started the NRA to try and arm the African-American population in response to the Democrats creating the KKK to trying to intimidate the African-Americans when it came to voting, when it came to civil rights. We allowed women to begin to vote. And you want to talk about equality? Right now, name a right that isn't in America right now that someone doesn't get to enjoy that somebody else does. Name it. I don't know what it is. He said, there's no, the people of color and LGBTQ individuals don't get to enjoy the same rights. Like what? Everybody gets to vote. Everybody gets to own a business. And if that were the case, and I did this whole long thing, and I explained all this in this post because why the heck not? I said, if that were the case, why are we the number one nation on the face of the earth that includes individuals coming into our nation? If America was so bad, why are people jumping our borders trying to come in to America where you can live the American dream, where the streets are paved with gold and anybody has the same opportunity? Not equal outcome, but an equal opportunity. You don't get the same outcome, which a lot of people are upset about, but you get the same opportunity, where you can come here with literally nothing in your pocket, and you can come to this nation, and you can provide for your family, and you can work your tail off, and you can even own a business. That's all you. You get to own it, and you get to provide for your family in doing so. What other nation allows you to do that? Gives you the opportunity to do that? To me, yes, we've had our flaws. But to look at it at a one-time stamp audit, boom, one point in time, is the dumbest way to gauge a nation. You do it in the long form. How have we evolved? Where have we come from? What have we done to rectify those? It's not reparations, just giving things away. It's changing it. It's allowing opportunity. Because if that were the case, if it was truly the case, then every white, according to him, it was a white straight male, every white straight male would have all the powership and leadership and celebrity status and all the millionaires and billionaires, and there would be no person of color, no matter what color that may be, no different heritage, no different minority of any way, shape, or form that would have more than, $100 in their bank account. Nobody would be a celebrity of color. Nobody would be a rock star. Nobody would be a politician. Nobody would be a business owner. Nobody of any color other than a white straight male would actually have any type of authority, power, influence, celebrity status. But that's not the case. There are many individuals that are poor that are different skin colors, that are different sexual orientations, that are different genders. Homeless people, same story. Business owners, same story. Politicians, same story. There's equal opportunity everywhere. Do we still have issues to work out? Some kinks to fix? Sure. Got some kinks to fix. We're never perfect. The only person that was perfect ain't here anymore. Because none of us are. Doesn't mean we can't tweak things, right? But why would you look at it as an audit? Drives me nuts. Message on Facebook as well. People value statues more than black lives. No, that's not the case at all. But why remove a statue? Why remove history and erase history rather than actually making history part of us and saying we grew from that? You know what? What we did there, that was bad, and we're never going to do something like that again. But you don't know if we ever did that if we just remove it and don't talk about it. And by the way, the statues they're trying to remove, many of them, that's not even what they were about. Trying to remove a statue from Robert E. Lee. Yeah, he fought for the South, but you know what he did? Him and his wife were in trouble with the South because they educated their black slaves. They didn't even have any slaves. They had people that they called slaves in order to educate the youth, in order to have them have an education to where they grew up when they became free, that they could actually have a life. Robert E. Lee was actually a fantastic individual, and he just saw that he'd rather fight for his state, his home state, and his home, rather than as the nation. That was his one flaw. He wasn't a slave owner. He tried to educate individuals. And we got to remember the Confederacy wasn't just about slavery. That was part of it. But it was a lot more to it in the Civil War than just slavery and the abolition of. It's time to educate again. Not remove To Kill a Mockingbird because it had segregation in it, but to learn from it and remember what the times were like so we never do it again. Got one more segment on a Monday we're just going to call the Patriotic Week here on The Voice of Reason. Lots more coming up. Don't go anywhere.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hoosier Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hoosier Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HoosierReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HoosierReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hoosier. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HoosierReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HoosierReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hoosier with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hoosier Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HoosierReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosierholic by going to HoosierReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hoosier Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HoosierReason.com. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the program today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and have the show automatically downloaded to your phone or computer every single day. Just find us on any podcasting site or go to HoosierReason.podbean.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon site, become the ultimate Hoosierholic, and help us fight for conservative values every day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Now back to the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Yeah, you are. One more segment left. Great to have you along for the ride today on a Monday, doing the thing, hanging out, advancing conservatism one day at a time, rebranding the millennial generation, one radio listener at a time as well. By the way, to wrap up that story that I told you on social media, that whole laundry list of what I tried to explain about the American dream and the lack of, not doing the whole audit of one point in time, but looking at the long. You know what the response was? This is the proof evidence of why you never should do a social media debate, and why what they say when they rant or they say stupid things on social media, why you shouldn't even buy into it is because, you know what? Want to know the response? The response to that, after I did this whole thing on why America was great, his response was, "That's really long and I don't want to read it. Have a nice day." So you want to start a conversation and you want to accuse people, and then when there's actually evidence and facts and reason, then I don't want to look into it that deeply. I want the 120-character tweet. That's all I want. I just want the character tweet so we can just call each other names and go back and forth. I don't want to actually get into the real discussion that's deep and actually, informational. Good golly. By the way, go to the website if you have not done so. We had a few more sign up just a few days ago, but it is coming up to the end of the month, which means a brand new Voice of Reason newsletter. So if you have not become a member or a Hoosierholic yet, go to the website at HoosierReason.com. And I actually have it now to where it pops up as soon as you go on there. Go onto the website and a little pop-up says, hey, do you want to become a Hoosierholic? You click on it. It takes you right to the form. You type in your email. Boom. It's free. All you have to do is subscribe. You'll get the monthly newsletter talking about the show, get some facts of the month. We'll share some stories. I'll do a little blog on there. It's a good time. And this month, especially for July, it'll be the big hoorah, patriotic, 4th of July kind of celebration, because we've always been this way, even on the local front and now ongoing the national front, that we are the most patriotic show on radio and on the interwebs. So make sure to go there. Go to HoosierReason.com. No I in Hoosier, almost like the state, but without the I, HOOSER, HoosierReason.com. And you can find there, subscribe to the newsletter. The podcast is on there as well. If you haven't subscribed, which any of your podcasting sites, you can go and you can subscribe to the podcast and have it automatically downloaded. We've doubled our podcasting numbers since we started the national show, which, wasn't a huge amount, but now it's doubled, so which means we can go on from there, and it's growing every day with the affiliate stations, with the TV and the online streaming and all that good jazz. So anyways, thank you for what you're doing to the show and supporting us. We appreciate it more than you could possibly imagine. I'm excited, aren't you? I am excited this week to celebrate Independence Day, the freedom that we get to enjoy as a nation by many states, now including Kansas that just came out a few hours ago. Kansas can be dropped onto this list that's what's been done nationally almost with many states in some way, shape, or form. Washington has done it with fines and penalties of potential jail time if you don't. I believe California's done it. Florida is going there. Certain counties among different states have gone there. 40 out of the 50 states have some form in some way, shape, or form making mandatory face mask wearing in their state. Oh, yes. The latest news out of the state of Kansas here, Governor Laura Kelly has said that starting Friday at midnight, it is mandatory to wear a face mask when not possible to be social distancing, even when you're outside. This is going into 4th of July weekend when many people are at the lake, when you are having barbecues. You're going to be on someone's back porch, and because you can't social distance or because you're just in a large group of people, you have to wear a face mask. Some way to enjoy your freedoms, eh? Yeah. Some way to enjoy 4th of July celebration with your freedoms. Just like the cities that try to limit the amount of fireworks, some way you can enjoy those types of freedoms. I am an American that has freedoms, and the government doesn't intrude in my life except to tell me to wear a face mask and not shoot off fireworks. Oh, I love it. I know the naysayers. Andy, come on, you're trying to put people at risk. No, we just want our freedom to make our own decision. And by the way, the face mask that everybody's wearing is silly because it doesn't even do anything. So good luck with that. And if you want, look, if you choose to wear one, that's cool. All the power to you. No naysayers. But if they try to force it upon you, that crosses the line. I don't know that many people are willing to actually go along with. So again, this kind of reinforces we're a step ahead of this the whole time, right? We're always a step ahead. Make sure to go to HoosierReason.com and print off your face mask exempt card. Laminate that sucker. No, it's not real, but why the heck not? Play with them. If they're going to play stupid games, we can play them too. Print out, if you choose to do so, go to HoosierReason.com under the Special Features tab, and you can download the face mask exempt card. Show that to them when they say, you need to wear a mask. Why? Because I'm a jerk that way. I'm just that sarcastic jerk that the left hates. And we try to do it in a fun way. Not to make anybody mad, but just to poke a little fun, poke the bear and see what works out. Until then, we're back at it tomorrow. We have a laundry list of guests all week long. You're not going to want to miss it. Podcast coming up in a little bit. Make sure to download it on any of your podcasting sites. Until then, you be your own voice of reason. It's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. This is the Voice of Reason. Everybody, have a great Monday afternoon. Hey, it's Andy Hoosier with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HoosierReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HoosierReason.com. Again, HoosierReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.